Eddie, how are you today? Inauguration day, busy day out there at the Capitol, obviously. So I hope everybody's doing well. Happy New Year to you. I'm really excited to have you guys here today with us. And, so far so good. Got a lot of questions to go for you guys today. And yes, I'm in my think tank. This is actually in my office. And it's an area where we think, but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to sharing some hopefully words of wisdom out there, and it's going to be a great year for all of us, just to let you know. And let's get started. Okay, number one question that was asked by Abraham Marcos, so thank you, Abraham. At what point am I crossing the line between boss and employee? And here's a little background. I recently hired a new employee. We've been paying him day to day to get them back on his feet. Recently, we decided to have him go full-time and put him on payroll. I've already given him a pay advance, and today he asked if I would be interested in buying some HVAC material left over from a side job he did a while back. I know this would help him out a bit, but at what point am I crossing the line between boss and employee? I'm really not sure how I feel about this. I want to make the right decision to keep it professional. Thank you. So here's the deal. People have their own opinions about their jobs. The thing is, as a CEO, and I fall into this myself, you can't save everybody. What you have to do basically is making sure that your stuff is good. You can provide advice and guidance to help this person to get other ways of income coming in and all too, but if you need that stuff, then I would say, yeah, sure, no problem. You just want to make sure that it doesn't go over the line of, if it's bad stuff, how do you feel about that, or something goes wrong. There's definitely a fine line. For example, I have an HR consulting company, and I only have about 2 people that are 1099s, and sometimes they have other clients they work on, and they can do that. Now, my W-2s, it's a little different story. And some of them have on the side an Etsy business, or they have a cosmetic business and all too. Totally fine with that. But it gets a little bit fine line if they keep asking you again and again to do that, because sometimes you feel obligated. You shouldn't have that obligation, but I think you should be very open with your person and to say, hey, listen, if I need it, I'll definitely do it. But if I don't, no hard feelings and all too, because I want you to focus on your job. But you understand that it's a fine line. But as long as your agreement, I don't know if you have an agreement about basically someone coming on board and doing side things. I know it's in my handbook about outside work that they do. They have to talk to me about that, especially if they're full time. And I have to see what they're doing, and does it basically conflict with us or whatever. But I'm very upfront about the conversation of saying, listen, I'm probably not going to be a purchaser. I want to keep it basically like, you employee, me boss kind of a deal. But here are some things that you could help them with. But I think you want to have that conversation sooner than later. But be respectful about it. It all depends upon the delivery of the communication. Matter of fact, every communication that you do as a CEO, it's all about that delivery. I hope that helped you. Next question is from Paulina Beck. Question asked, how do you explain the difference in pricing between CFO level services and bookkeeping services to clients? And description. She runs a full service accounting firm, and she thinks she potentially is undercharging her clients for CFO services. My clients fall between the 100K to 500K in revenue, and in my monthly CFO retainer, I cover bookkeeping, tax prep, tax planning, cash flow analysis, and financial consulting with 4 meetings during the month for so much money. Now, honestly, you know what? I hate to say this. All CEOs want to get great stuff the less expensive way possible. And to be honest with you, I use 2 different people. I have used my bookkeeper for the past 11 years. I trust her. She is a CPA, formerly from Ernst & Young, who went on her own to do this, and now she has a staff of 10, and we've actually grown up together, basically. And I also use an outside service, more of my tax accountant for my interim CFO side of the house, and it works out really well. I think it really comes down to figuring how many hours you're working on, because a bookkeeping service like reconciliations, your invoicing and all too, that can get done by a lot of people. Whereas your CFO, like your analysis and stuff like that too, I would suggest maybe even breaking out your services and just saying if a higher level and more strategic thinking, you're paying this, but your bookkeeping services are going to basically be this and this and this. Because right now, like your tax prep, your tax planning, honestly, I would be probably charging higher for that because those are things that are really needed and you need expertise behind that. Whereas your bookkeeping, and like I said, if you do invoices and all too, that should be your basic stuff to get moving. But you want to figure out how many hours you're working on that too, and never sell yourself short. And I see this happen all the time with smaller companies. So you want to have a level basically of costs. That's what I would suggest for you to do that instead. For example, lots of times I use my services. I'm more of that process implementation person, and I can see that whole picture, and I help them in regards to picking out an HRIS system. I help them with implementation. I help them with that whole area, but my consultant on my team is probably going to do that everyday HR stuff. And I could do it too, but that's not best use of my time and value as well, because I'm a higher charge. So you want to make sure that one, you're pricing the right way. Two, figuring out the value that you're adding and all too, and then three, doing that analysis on your own books as to how you're figuring out how much time you're really spending on bookkeeping, and then how much you're really spending on tax prep, and then how much you're talking about being like a strategic partner. And I would price them out 3 different ways, not just one. That would be my suggestion. Next one is from Roland Bernath. I hope I said that right. Question was, how do I create new structure within the company? And the background here is our family business is a decor and seasonal retail and wholesale store. In the store, we employ a total of 10 employees. The company grew over time, but there was never time and energy allocated to systematically grow it. Currently, the employees are all rotating between being at the cashier, unpacking incoming inventory, sticking labels on the inventory, placing the inventory on shelves. As everybody is doing everything, sometimes I feel like nothing is going on. They are not responsible. There are a lot of mistakes. I need proper job descriptions and tasks. I believe I need to divide the store into segments, sales and product handling, create new job responsibilities, etc. So again, the question is, how do I create new structure within the company? To be honest with you, I'm a big believer in the EOS system. EOS is the Entrepreneur Operating System. It's Gino Wickman, Ginowickman. What I would do is go onto YouTube. He has some fantastic videos. But what you're really looking at right now is an accountability chart and figuring out everybody's role, what you need, and what you don't have. And basically writing it down so that you can see it in person and figuring out basically what that looks like. So if you're going to be growing and all too, like what positions and titles do you need? I did that about 5 years ago, and I've been around, this is my 14th year. And ironically enough, it was so eye-opening because so many people were wearing more than one hat. And to do your job effectively, you really can't have more than one hat, no matter how hard that is. And when you start up, I get it. We wear like 3 or 4 hats. But you have to figure out what time frame you're looking at to basically make sure that you only have one hat. I now have one hat. I have a salesperson. I have an operations person. I have an outsourced accounting function. I was doing a lot of that stuff and all, and now I focus on vision, and vision. And it takes a little while to do it. It just will not happen overnight, but you understand basically where you want to take the company. I'm a drawer, so I draw everything in front of me to sit down, but you have to write it down. It won't happen unless you start doing that. And then you start putting job descriptions to those positions, seeing if your people basically fit all those things and all. We just did that. We just did a whole reclassification of all of our employees on both our talent side and our HR side. And it took a little bit of time to do that. But you know what? My TA lead basically had it up, and my HR lead did the same thing. And we figured out 4 different types of positions that we have in HR. And then we actually had our own employees pretty much put themselves into that category they thought they fit best. And ironically enough, we were about 95% accurate to what we had chosen for them to do as well. It was really interesting. And the nice thing was about, we just had these really frank conversations, make sure that everybody was aligned properly so that we know what kind of work to give them so that we're moving forward. And when more clients come in, we know how to position that even better. And we did the same thing on our talent side, but it was really good because you have to have the buy-in too from your employee. So it's really just creating that accountability chart, writing down what you have, what you don't have, putting people where you see them currently into certain roles with their strengths and all too, having a conversation with them, building out your job descriptions and all too, and then moving it forward. Okay, but again, EOS to me has been super helpful. It's very easy systems that they talk about. Go on to YouTube, they are free right now. But if you do go through EOS, I would highly recommend actually hiring a coach to do that. That's going to help you quite a bit. But for now, use the free version, okay? And in regards to my next question on here is from Brianna Carroll. And Brianna asked, what is the best method in ensuring franchisees stay true to all branding, processes, and systems put in place? And the description is, I co-own a franchise called Wow Moms, Wow Moms World, which is a multi-service center for families including a play place, fitness, cafe, swim, spa, etc. I was informed there is one franchisee who is continually not complying to franchisor standards. My partners have put me in charge of handling all U.S. franchisees and asked for me to go visit the locations in the new year. We already have franchisees signed agreements with state compliance, a franchisee's checklist to go through, and they have asked her multiple times to change certain things. They feel they have lost her respect, so sending me in to handle it. What is a typical franchisee protocol for the situation, and how often should a franchisor visit franchisees to make sure that they are complying? Any advice is appreciated. To be honest with you, this is an unfamiliar world for me in regards to the franchisor franchisee. I'm sorry. But I would imagine that there are probably really good information that's out there in regards to either being podcasts or other things. It sounds like you're going in as the fixer. Number one, you're probably already a fixer. That's why they already asked you. But you know, you might want to just ask the question, instead of being in there without this idea of you're doing this wrong, blah, blah, blah. You might want to ask them, you're like, you know, I just want to make sure, like, you know, we're working on the same level here. Explain to me, you know, the process that you go through. And I hear it's a little different than basically what you were taught. Is there a reason why that you're doing that? Do you think it's better? Do you think it's more efficient? Because right away, if you go in there with that wall up, that wall doesn't come down easily. But if you, all depends upon how you deliver that message. And if you go in there more about learning and growing and understanding, basically having them talk for like a good hour afterwards, then you'd say, okay, interesting. And you might want to take some time to think about that before you respond. But you might also want to let them know, like, listen, here are some things that could really hurt us in the long run, and this might not be, you might not be aware of that. So it's really making sure that they have been listened to as well, and having that time, because people don't, especially owners, you know, we don't like to be told what to do. We think we know it all. But again, if you message it the proper way, like, I just want to listen and understand and hear what's going on. I don't know if anybody's actually asked that person that question, and you'd be surprised what you're going to get out of that, but you're also learning that, getting that, and gaining that trust. And once you start getting that trust and all too, the different hat goes on. So that's some of the suggestions that I would ask and for you to basically listen to. Because I have a lot of times we go into clients, and trust me, we go into clients because there's a fire, not because everything is happy, hey, hey. But the question I always ask my CEOs typically is like, what's missing? What is going on that basically that you're having issues and you're keeping up at night, or you've decided to change that process? How come that happened and why? And those things really, really do help answer. So just a heads up for that. I hope that helps you. Bob Giguri. I'm just going to call you Bob G. All right. And the question Bob asked, how much of being successful in business is winning the game against yourself? So let's go through why he asked that question. Through a mastery of online poker back in the day, I realized that the key to success was to win the game against myself. Controlling my emotions, avoiding temptation, and deep thought on new information was the secret sauce. As I had begun the Maximize Your Mindset course, it seems like poker and business could be similar in this sense. Thoughts? And the reason is this person has elevator pitch was, over the past 2 years, developed a skincare massage product, and I'm looking to build a brand and company around it. You know, Bob, interesting you're saying this. I am currently reading a book right now. I'm going to pull it up. And her whole book, I think it's Annie Duke, and that she wrote, I'm going to pull it up real fast, that she talks about actually, it's called Thinking in Bets. And her whole premise is about this, about she believes that business world is more about thinking about poker than it is basically about chess. And it's been interesting because it's a mind shift of how you were thinking behind all that. So you're asking the question, how much of being successful in business is winning the game against yourself? I would think a lot of it is, but you also have to believe in yourself. I also think you have to believe in your intuition. I think you also have to understand the game plan of what you want to get out of life and what's basically going to be, you know, how do you want to leave this world? And ironically, I think the thinking behind it and the poker is definitely behind it and all too. But I'm just learning about this book. It's something that corresponds exactly with it. I think you just have to be honest to yourself. And I've read a ton of business books. And I love reading things. I love learning. I'm a sponge and all too out there. I love helping other entrepreneurs really get out there and get better. But it really comes down to, you know, to me, if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't smell right, it doesn't seem right, it's not right. And I have to fix it. And you really have to make sure that I'm the first person in my whole team will say, I messed up, I made a mistake, and I'm sorry about that. I also think it's something's blowing, sorry. And I also think it's really more along the lines of what you want to get out of it and how far you want to get. I'm going to go back to my law of attraction, people out there. I was just watching the video again on it, and it just, no lie, it just sort of came on my screen one day. I said, you know, I haven't watched this in a while, I'm going to watch it again. And every time I watch it, I get so pumped up and so excited about it. And it really comes down, if you want to be successful, if you want to get these things, well, then you got to let yourself open up to all of that. If you want to have a lousy day, you're going to have a lousy day. You want to have a great day, you're going to have a great day. No matter how much stuff is on your plate, it's really up to you and your thinking behind it to make your day. So again, going back to poker, there's a lot there. I think poker is just one thing. I like the people when they think about chess, because I like hiring people to think about chess, because I want somebody thinking three times ahead as to what and how to fix that problem. So there's a lot of similarities with all these different things out there. But it really depends upon what you want to do and where you want to take your company, because there's so many great people out there. But I'm going to go back to my law of attraction again. I think there's something to be said about that, and it's if you want it out there, you can have it. And I get discouraged when I see people who are just always complaining and whining. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. And I feel as if it could be just much more positive out there. If everybody woke up every day just saying, hey, thank you that I can walk and talk and breathe today, and move that day along, it really helps your whole business and your whole team too, because your team, believe it or not, everything you say, you do, you write out there or whatever, they read everything you do. And so it's really important that we are on and we're real, but we're also being that positive ray of sunshine for them too. Because if I'm having a bad day and if I'm sweating, they're taking a bath. So never forget that. All right. Hope that answered your question. All right, on to Zach Knopf. Zach asked, how do you avoid entrepreneurial burnout, and what are some things I can do to change up my duties from day to day? And here's the reason why. I own a security company. We specialize in working with access control, cameras, and security systems for both commercial and residential applications. I'm feeling slightly burnt out from all the tasks that I have to do throughout the day. Sales, invoicing, weekly expense reviews, meetings, installation of products. You get the drift. I have a morning meditation I do to try and get my mind in the right place as well as mountain biking. It seems as if I have a robot brain or something. I want every day to be my honeymoon, blah, blah, blah. Okay, two things here. We're still living through COVID. And yeah, you can have the best days and all too, but I do believe it's been really hard mentally and physically for people who are so used to being out there, so used to making change, so used to making things happen, to basically be behind a screen all day now and basically not having breakfast, lunch, and dinners, because that energizes all of us, okay? And you have to just accept that. But I also think you should probably have a group of people that are also growing their businesses and have like a once a week or once every 2 weeks a coffee chat with them, because more than likely you're all going through the same exact thing. and it's really helpful. So ironically enough, I'm real involved with EO, which is Entrepreneur Organization in Philadelphia, and we're putting together a coffee chat, and we're going to be talking every 2 weeks. And the idea behind that is to talk about a topic to help your company, but it's also going to be, just for people to talk and network and to say hi and how you doing and how you feeling and what's really going on, because we really haven't had a chance to do that with like peers. We've done that with our team, but again, we're beginning that person has to be the happy chappy. Burnout is real. It is super real right now. We actually just put an EAP program together for my team this year because we told them, use it. Have someone to talk to. Reach out to somebody who you can just talk to if you're having an issue or not, because I think people are really stressed out already in January, because it's really, you can't go outside right now. Well, you can, but you can't go to many places, and you're not really seeing all your friends and buddies and happy hours and all too. And it's been really hard to constantly be happy every day. And you have someone who's sick right now. There's a lot going on with that. The one thing I know for me is it's very therapeutic is I go walking. So I literally will catch up with my team members. I put my hiking boots on, put my pods in my ear, and I pick one of my girls or my guys too, and basically talk to them for like an hour. Hey, what's going on? And the greatest thing is I let them talk. I don't even do much of the talking. They just want someone to have listened to. I get my walk in. I'm looking at the trees, looking at the sky. I'm listening to them too, obviously. But it really helps me. It's helping them, and it's basically putting it into my calendar. So you got to make sure that you write it into your calendar, that kind of time. It's so funny. I wanted to take up meditation about a year ago, and I had a really good coach say to me, "You'll never do that." And I said, "Why wouldn't I?" Because your profile as a venturer will never allow you to sit there at that time and do that consistently every day. And he was right. I can't sit still to save my life. But ironically enough, we are moving in the right direction here with that. Do something every day that that you have control over, that you do that's good for you. It'll do you a world of good. Trust me. My walks to me are my creative times, and I need them basically to keep things moving. And thank God I do it every day, even if it's late at night, but it's really helpful to do. But you got it. And write down your stuff, because sometimes you forget how much stuff you are doing, and maybe it's time to hire somebody to help you out. I have a virtual assistant. I love my virtual assistant. She's taking stuff off my plate like you wouldn't believe. I have certain people that do things for me because I just need that time for me, because life is way too short. So I hope that helps a little bit. But it just make sure you take time for you. It's so important, especially as the leader, because your team sees it too, and they do recognize that when you're doing that time as well. But even just walking right now will do you good, okay? Kyle Stroud. I'm looking to hire someone to monitor inventory levels and make purchasing decisions. Should I use cheap out-of-country employees? Nice. Friends, family, job search sites, etc. So, okay. So, someone to monitor inventory levels and make purchasing decisions. Number one, I'm a big believer, anybody you bring on board and you hire, you want to make sure that you're hiring them to keep them, not just for like someone cheap. Because unfortunately with cheap comes lots and lots of problems on the road. And then that's when like people like myself get involved, and we have to have a severance agreement, and it's painful. And if you're going to grow your company, grow with people that you want to grow it with. I would really figure out first what you're looking for, also what your values are in their company, how to get them to that next level. It's really, really helpful. But if you're going to spend that time and money and effort, make sure you're doing it the right way. Maybe you have to, even have a temp in there, somebody that you might have to do like try before you buy kind of a thing. And, have a relationship with your temp agency and say, I'm really looking for someone like this and this and this. And, oh, by the way, I know there's an agreement to pay so much money when they're done. For my first time, negotiate. Say, can I just pay, 10% instead of 20%? No one's going to say no right now on anything. So stuff like that. But I think you should hire somebody to basically is going to be working with you to help you grow and all too. Because everybody you bring on board, I think it's really, you want people, I think, to really, take stuff off your plate. Especially you're saying in here, like, I need to hire people to do the work that I don't enjoy. totally hire somebody who loves doing that and brings this information to you. I think that is so important, and I think it's really, it's a good time to do that too. There's a lot of people that are out there, and you know what the best part about that? If it's just like easy work, there are so many people, especially students right now, that are looking for internships. Oh my gosh. All you gotta do is put out there that you're looking for this out there, like on Indeed and all. You're gonna get so many candidates who basically are younger people. But if you teach them real quickly what you're looking for, and it's pretty much like pretty simple to do it, you can actually have an intern do it too for you for really, really inexpensive person per hour. But if you're looking to grow your company, I would really grow it and basically have people that are out there. Get referrals from people and all too. People like to refer really good people, but I wouldn't do cheap out of the country employees unless you absolutely have to, especially if you're growing. That would be my advice. Next question is from Allison. Allison K. I'm just going to keep it like that. Her question is, what is the best way to pass a fee for a new software on to clients? You are basically a digital marketing agency. I have a new software that I want to introduce to my clients, but it does cost me a fee every month to use it. It will provide customer service and communication with clients. Since the fee is a bit high, I was going to pass this fee on my clients. How do I go about wording my email to them about this new fee? I want to express that this is new software and will bring a lot of value to them, while also explaining why I'm raising the rates. I also don't want them to make angry for raising the rates on them during this sensitive time when many businesses are struggling. Thank you for your time and expertise. Now, you know what? Interesting enough, my outsourced accountant does this, but I have a really good relationship with her, and she'll say to me, "Hey, we're going to be adding this software," and I don't know how many clients you might have, but this might be a good time to have a conversation, like pick up the phone conversation instead of an email. That right now goes a lot further than you can ever imagine, and just asking the question, "Hey, how are you doing? How was your New Year's? What's the plans for this year?" Just listening to them too really helps. It also basically helps that little brunt of that additional cost. I know we've had conversations with our clients because we have to increase our rates because we're increasing our salaries, we're increasing this. And to be honest with you, they see the value that they already get. No one's really pushed back on this. You can't be worried about angering your clients because they're doing the same thing basically to their clients as well. And if you're offering a really good, valuable service, they're going to pay for it and be happy that you're asking for it. What I don't like is when I get an invoice and I have no idea why that increase is on there. That to me says that they're going behind my back, and that does not put a good taste. And I'm sure for other entrepreneurs as well too. So if you have the chance, especially for like your top 10, 20 clients, just pick up the phone, have the conversation, explain to them why, and really have that already thought out in that conversation of why you have it, what it's for, how it saves all this stuff, and blah, 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 but it cost me this, yada, yada. For example, lots of times we'll have a client do the predictive index. Well, guess what? To have that survey every year, it costs me a lot of money. And so when I say how I basically charge you is this much money, I charge you for one, but it still doesn't cover my entire cost, but it does help basically in the overall cost. The more honest you are with your clients, the more they're going to trust you, the more they're going to respect you, the more they're not going to bat an eye basically when you have an increase. Okay, it was a tough year. It was a tough year for all of us. But I think the more honest that you are, understanding that you are, I think it'll help. We've had a client that pushed back on our rates, and we said, okay, we totally understand you've had a really rough year. How about we relook at this in 6 months? So again, we would never have that conversation without picking up that phone. So I hope that helps you real quickly too. Last but not least, I think, just make fun with your people this year too, because, the weather's changing, the vaccine's out, new presidency and all too. A lot is going to change, I think, this year, and I think that people aren't going to be as afraid to go back to work because the vaccine is starting to calm things down. And I also think we've been so cooped up in the past year. Be very careful with that. Checking with your employees, have town halls with them, send more communication out right now, give them a little bit more love, and because when March comes up and the sun comes back out and people get back out there and all too, people are going to be like, I think I'm going to start looking for a new role. So I'm trying to tell all my clients right now, be very cautious about that and make sure that you have things in play to make sure, like, do just a pulse beat. How are you feeling? What's going on? How's things happening? How are my benefits? Are you being happy with things that are going on? Really get a good feed from your team. You're still going to lose people no matter what you do. But I think just be prepared even more so this year because nobody was really willing to move too much last year, okay? And that's it. And by the way, today is International Cheese Day. So have fun with your family, stay safe, and make sure you have some mac and cheese for dinner tonight, okay? Don't forget, got to make HR fun. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. Feel free. Marcia O'Connor, thanks for your time today, and stay safe, and one day closer to spring, people. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.